live. No, no, we're not. Yeah.
We're live. I'm going to give everybody a few seconds just in case they have commercials to catch up with us. But I recently just decided, screw it, I'm getting YouTube Premium. It's only been like 3 days, and like, hot damn, I'm never going back.
Good. Like I heard people that have done it have said it's totally worth it. So should I jump on this bandwagon or what?
Well, right now they have a promo for 3 free months. So it was like, oh, for 3 months, like I could dick around with this for 3 months, and I'm like, it's so good. There's no commercials at all, and it's like $11.99 a month. I think they changed their pricing because it used to be more, and I was like, I don't know if it's worth that, but I'm like $11.99. I'm like, well, I'm a grown up, and I have grown up money to spend. I think this might be worth it.
Totally. So now that I know it's like 11.9, okay, so I'll have to check it out because I've heard a couple people say that they made the leap and they like are not looking back and it was totally worth it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to like look into this because I spend most of my time on YouTube. Like that's where I do everything.
Same. Like Charles is the one. He was like, girl, you got to get premium. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I was like, God damn it, Charles, you're always right. I don't know why I question you.
Totally. And like you said, spend your big girl money the way you want to. Go YouTube Premium. I love it.
Okay, everybody. That was like a little aside about YouTube Premium. Not sponsored.
Not at all.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me on a lovely Saturday afternoon. As you can see, I have a lovely guest today. Why don't you tell the people about you, where they can find you, and all that jazz? Go for it.
Hey guys, so I am Taji from Taji's World of Books, and I am another booktuber on BookTube. And you can find me talking about all things smutty in the romance genre subworld. So if you are into dark romances or contemporary romance and you want to talk smut, then come and find me. Yay!
I love unapologetic smut lovers. And you forgot that you also interview a lot of authors as well. Kind of with your co-partner Charles, you guys have done a lot of really good. I think you guys did. Were you on the Sierra Simone interview with Charles, or was that Charles on his own?
No, we're doing that tomorrow. So that's
okay.
On the channel. So
Charles, people love Sierra Simone.
So let's plug it. So Charles and I started a book club called Books on Stereo because we all love audiobooks. Who doesn't love a good audiobook that we listen to at like 3-point speed, but so we can read more books, right? We started this and we're kind of thinking about doing, I read everything in series and everybody else I know just kind of reads books here and there and kind of gets it in, and they don't all binge the way that I do. So Charles and I said, why don't we do books on stereo in series and interview those authors and kind of talk about those series that they put out. And we've done, a couple of really good ones like J.T. Gessinger. We've had Kay Webster on. We've had some really cool authors. And tomorrow at 9:00 Eastern Standard or 6 Pacific Standard Time, we have Sierra Simone, who I call this queen of smut. She writes a smutty book like nobody's business. And we are going to be talking about Priest and Saint and that whole series. And that is going to be amazing. And I'm super excited about it. So come and check it out on my channel, Taji's World of Books.
Yeah, nice. I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I should interview authors. I feel like I should, and then I don't ever do it.
It's a fun time to kind of get like the backstory and find out their impetus for writing or how they came up with, we were talking to J.T. Gessinger, and there was one of her, she's like the Wicked series. And I was like, I got to tell you, Victoria in the first book, like, I was like, I wanted to strangle her. I wanted to throw her out the window because she was so nasty. And she was like, whatever. And JT was like, she's like, she's a bitch, isn't she? And I was like, I wasn't going to say it. You said it. But
she knows who she wrote.
My watch is to it. And it was funny because she said, how I came up with that character? She was like, I was standing in line at the grocery store, and this woman got into an argument with her partner, and he was like, you are such a bitch. And she was like, I am not a bitch. I am the bitch. And she was like, that is an amazing character. And I was like, oh my God, I love
it. Love that. Mm-hmm. All right, let's say hello to the viewers. Hi, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Hello. Thank you. Hello. Okay, so Miss Exhausted Flamingo.
I was just going to say, I love this name.
the instigator of his banana when I read that on the last live show. At Angela, they instigated me getting that book. So who knows what's going to happen today?
Thank you, Angela.
It is a little gloomy in LA too.
It is, yeah. Like right? I was like, what is going on with this? We're not used to this.
Yeah. Also, hey, Look at this, Taji. New fans for everybody. I hope you're good. You can you're in Eastern Europe though, so hopefully that's like in a time zone you can watch the interview tomorrow. Not sure how far ahead are you. Yeah, so yay! We thank you. I appreciate that very much.
So supportive.
She's a big name. She's like that's a get. I was like, girl.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Right. Low key, I just wait.
For sure. That is absolutely a get, for sure. Tessa is another queen out there, you know?
Well, we like vaguely know who each other are because I just got to meet her again recently. And like she does kind of know who I am. Like when she sees me, she's like, "Oh hey, hi again." Like she recognizes me, so I'm just like, like the queen knows who I am.
This is like not really. I guess like it's romance adjacent, but I think it's more like, you know, YA fiction, like whatever. But I would absolutely love, because when I see her interviews, I think she's so cool and I love her stuff, is Cassandra Clare. And I know she's like out of the stratosphere, like in my opinion. I just love her so much and I love her writing style. Because like she also brings in like classical stuff into her books, where YA readers you think wouldn't really be, you know, like thinking about Lord Tennyson and like stuff like that. Like, so she sneakily gets it in there, but I just love her stuff so much. And I would love to hang out with her and Holly Black and just have a conversation and do an interview. That would be so cool.
Yeah. Holly, I think I've only seen Cassandra Clare one time. And she was fine. I don't know. I only saw her once. I didn't really like have a long conversation with her. It was a book signing. And then Holly is very funny though. Like I think like Holly would bring it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they're really good friends. They've been friends for like years. And so I sort of see them as a package deal. Like that would be like the ultimate, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd love to have Leigh Bardugo come on the show. Like, because she's LA too. So like I've been to so many of her sightings that now like we also kind of like she recognizes me. Like we know who each other are. And also I've said the weirdest things to her in person. Like every time I've seen her, because now it's like a thing where I'm just like, I'm gonna say something crazy.
Just like gear it up and just go with it. She's another really
like, good writer. It started off with me going like, Nikolai is the best. Like he just radiates big dick energy, and I'm like into it.
Totally. Who was I talking to the other day, and they were just like, "What exactly is BDE?" And they were like, as opposed to, because I think we were watching an episode, because like while I was convalescing, I wasn't really, wouldn't say I was in a book slump, but I wasn't necessarily reading as much as I typically do and enjoying it as much. So I was like, I got to do something different. So I started binging Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and I was watching the end episode. I think Chloe was talking about BDE or Big Dick Energy. And she's like, what is that as opposed to like somebody who's just like an asshole? Like, how do you define that? And I was like, oh my gosh. And we so got off on this whole conversation on that. And I'm like, in an alpha romance, I want BDE. I definitely want it. Like, wouldn't you say, or what would you say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that just goes with it. You can't have like an alpha romance with no BDE. Like it'd be really weird.
Like, or opposed to like stepping into the world of being an asshole. Like there's a fine line between bringing that cocksured kind of like that alpha, like you want, as opposed to.
I get bigger dick energy with like nicer characters who don't need to be like alpha masculine. They're just like, no, I'm good.
Like
I'm just real chill about things where they don't need to make a ruckus, and I'm just like, oh, he's not getting up because he can't lift the weight of that dick. You know what I mean? Like that's where I am with it.
I love that definition. That's awesome. I'm here in case you need me.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna sit down because it's heavy to carry around. You know, like I'm good. So I think that's where I am with my big dick energy. I like nicer guys. Like I haven't got into a lot of like super alpha characters. It's like in real life I'm not attracted, so maybe that's why I haven't got into them too much.
Got it. So would you say like you like more cinnamon roll type heroes, or would you like, or somewhere
confident? Like I like confident. I'm gonna stay seated because I have this big dick I need to carry around. Like I want someone who's confident but doesn't need to be like like aggro about it. Like I like that's what I want.
And I think when you get into like mafia romances, paranormal romances, like shifter romances, you tend to get more in alpha aggressive, if you will, because when you bring in that sort of animal component or criminal component to it, you know what I mean? And then when you kind of step away from that and more into the contemporary, then you get into more nice guy. I'm assured myself, but I'm confident, but I'm like alpha still, but I don't need to be all in your face about it. Does that make sense? Like
I can be quiet in the background and secretly ruin your life, and you'll never know. I like more devious in the brain characters. I think I like those. Like I love like a good thief, like that kind of alpha energy where they're just like, I'm gonna be chill about things. Don't worry, I'm quiet. You won't see me coming.
So you like Chaz from Liberdugo, what's
Kaz. Yeah, Kaz Brecker. Yeah. I don't think like that's like ooh, I think he's sexy. I just like him as a character.
Right. But he's got that like I'm like brain energy. I'm stealing right underneath your feet. You have no idea that I'm coming. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
But and then he can throw down when he needs to. Like
exactly.
He does, but like he's just really quiet. I'm just like, don't get up. I know you have a heavy weight between your legs.
Oh my God, that's good stuff. I love it.
Anyway, that's how we're starting this today. So we were supposed to talk about favorite tropes.
Let's do it. I have no idea where this is going to go. We might go off the rails. We might stay on topic, but just hang on for the ride, guys.
Yeah, there's never any rails here. I don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's the fun of live shows. It's just like, I brought you on because like, I think it's going to be fun talking to you. And then like, who knows? We have a general theme.
There we go. There we go. Yeah. So let's start with our general theme and then see how we do. So we're talking about favorite trope. So I would say like, so I always get confused with this. So I love dark romance. I absolutely love it. So like, is dark romance a trope, or is that like a sub trope in a trope? Like, is romance the trope? And
I think it would be like a genre. And I think like things that happen within dark romance, like maybe a trope would be like a captive situation or something. Like, so that's, I don't know, but you're the expert. So whatever, you know what? There's no rules. If you say it's a trope, it's a trope.
Yeah, I think maybe like for me, the easiest is to start off with what I don't like. Like I don't like, for example, Secret Baby. I cannot. For me, there is no reason why you should ever keep from someone that they have a child, and then pop up like 10 years later and be like, oh, by the by, like,
by the way, here's your child, or like, or whoopsie babies, like. Whoopsie, I'm now with baby. Like, I'm like, oops, I got pregnant. Like, I don't like them in this day and age. Like, no. I don't find like necessarily pregnancy a sexy time, but then again, I've never been pregnant, so what do I know? But like, you know, it's just a lot of medical things happening right now.
Too much other stuff. No, like the only time that there is and I don't want to give away, well, I guess spoilers, so sorry. There's a book by Heidi McLaughlin and it's called Until Then. And in that particular book, there is a secret baby. However, it is not because she intentionally hid it. It's because she misidentified parentage. Let me say that. Okay. And not until later on that she learns, and I'm not giving away the story, that the father who she thought was the father actually wasn't the father. It was someone else. And she thought there was no possible way, because it only happened one time with this other person, that person, and plus they wore a condom, that it could ever. So it's like laws of physics and, you know, suspending belief in this, like how could it ever have been this other person? And so in that instance, I wasn't pissed and I was okay. I was like, this is a legitimate mistake. And once as soon as she found out and she knew, she revealed, she told, she explained. And, you know, like for me, like that was cool. But if you're just because you're pissed or because you're angry or because like you're feeling resentful, like, and you just take off with no, you've lost me already. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like that, I like it.
Yeah.
And like, and I think along with that is like, I don't like when there are super huge time jumps. Like, I don't like, you know, I'm coming to your house, Amanda, and I eavesdrop and I overhear a conversation and I hit a snippet of it so I don't get the whole thing. And I think that you're being dishonest with me and you've lied to me and like whatever. And I jump to all these conclusions and I go home and pack up my stuff and take off, and you have no way to identify me. And now it's been 10 years and we haven't spoken, and now we've lost all this time because I didn't give you 1 minute to explain what was going on. And I know it's a plot point to drive the situation, but I'm just like, that you got to come up with something better.
It's dumb. It's a lot. That's like extra. That's like the most extra person. That's like such drama. I'm packing all my things and leaving. I heard you say 3 words. Like, it's so over dramatic. It's like,
yeah, it's called communication, people. We're like, put on your big girl panties, like, let's pull them up, let's have a conversation, and then after that I can still be pissed, and then we have to work through some stuff or whatever. That's different. But like, when you just take off and do that, it's like, I'm not feeling so great about that. So
I really like Rebecca Weatherspoon for that exact point. Have you read Rebecca Weatherspoon stuff?
I haven't.
Okay. So it's like pretty much the opposite of dark romance, where I wouldn't say they're fluffy, but like, they're just healthy relationships. Like, oh, we don't have misunderstandings. We just talked about it like adults, and then we banged the Jesus out of each other. Like, that's what it is. It's just healthy relationships and like people being honest about what they want out of things. And I was like, wow, healthy communication. No one has a third act breakup because they just take the time to talk to each other. Oh my God, peg them again. Like, they get intensely smutty.
I love this. I have to put her on my radar, on my agenda.
She's great, and she's LA native, so you can probably see her around. I love Rebecca.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Now, what about you? What are tropes that you don't like?
I don't like. Well, again, whoopsie babies. I also don't like that. Never into it. It's so. I'm not even gonna get into why. I just don't. I don't have to explain it. I don't like it. It's a complete sentence.
Full stop.
Yeah. What else? Like, I don't tend to like dark romances, and I know that you love them, and like I love that journey for you. Personally, like I've mentioned earlier, no, I like more softer, I guess. I don't want, like, I don't find like I don't like dubious consent.
Yeah.
Not into it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you have like a crazy violent like alpha guy, and like he can still ask, hey, can we have sex? Like, he's capable of still asking. You know, like him not asking, it's like,
you're like, you do have words. Use that.
You have words. You've spoken words before. Like, I've seen you speak them. Like, that's just an easy fix in the book. So for me, I was like, he could have asked.
Yeah.
That's an easy fix. Yeah. But a lot of people really like that or are intrigued by it and don't actually want that to happen to them, but they like reading it in books, you know? So I get that. Personally, not for me.
Yeah.
So I stay out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know that. And I remember like Jen and a few other people, again from Jen, she was like doing a mafia romance read-a-thon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really read a lot of mafia romance. Mainly it's just as an Italian person, I'm just like, you don't want to fuck with the mob. Literally. Like, you don't want to literally fuck with the mob.
Right.
So I'm like,
yeah. I'm from like the East Coast, so I kind of am like, yeah, like I really know like where that really goes. But it's definitely fun to like read about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's definitely where you get that alpha BDE energy, like what I say goes type thing. And like, to your point, like, and I totally, no judgment involved. Like, everybody has the right to like what they do. And like I said, I like dark romance, dubious consent, non-consent, because it's, you know what it is. And I told somebody this the other day, just because I read about it in a book doesn't mean I condone it in real life. Like, I like to watch action movies where there's like bank robberies, but I don't like say like, hey, like, I think this is the right, you should go rob a bank. Like, no,
exactly.
totally not. Right. So like, I was reading Sam Mariano's The Descent the other day, and that's all about no dubious consent. It's non-con, for sure, non-consent. And I think I'm fascinated by it. And it's such a fast read. And it's so like, you want to see what's going to happen and how you're going to take this horrible thing that just happened and how are you going to twist it and weave it into a romance where you have an HEA, and how do you get past how you began to where you're ending. So there's some real conflictual things that have to be worked through. Whereas like I find that to be like having more substance, for example, than if I were to read a contemporary romance and it's a workplace office, more fluffy. And I'm not saying I don't like those, I do, but I have a hard time going like, seriously, that's like not enough to be upset about or to like really have conflict over. Like this deal over here where there was a non-con situation and you abducted me and like whatever, and now the tables have turned and I've gone from hating you to now having empathy and compassion, and how an author does that masterfully and gets you to believe that you can get there. For me, I go like, wow, that was amazing that you did that. And I think that's where my love of dark romance comes, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, no, like fully, I get it. I'm not trying to yuck someone's yum. I feel like no one's condoning non-consensual sex. It's in a book. And if you guys enjoy reading it, go ahead, read it. They obviously, people like writing it, people like reading it. There's a whole market for it. Yeah. Go for it. Have fun. It's not for me, but.
And then if you ever watch any of my videos, like as I'm like talking about these books, I'm like, oh my God, I love this. But I'm like, as I put myself in this situation, I'd have been like, if you even thought 2 seconds, I would have been like, don't you dare. And like, if it were me in this situation, no. But in a, fictional fantasy, whatever. So really,
yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Like I've read like some mafia stuff. Like Cressley Cole has a series. It's a little older. I read that one. I remember reading it when it came out.
Oh, you're talking about The Professional and
yeah. The Professional. She put out in 3 little novellas, and then it got like wound up into a book.
Yeah, they're good. They're good for sure, and they're spicy too. They're like, and that's about the Russian bratva.
Yeah.
Right. So those are really good as well.
I liked the first 2. The third one I didn't like as much, but like the first 2 I thought were really fun.
I agree.
And then also because like I have said this so many times, and then to finally see it in a book, the ABC method, which is always be crazier, ABC. And I was like, I have been doing that. Every time you get hit on by a weirdo, be crazier. Always be crazier. It works.
It works. This is a foolproof method. If you ever get put in this situation, go the crazier route. I love this. That's amazing.
Always be crazier. And then like, I'll play it with my boyfriend, like if we're out in public, where he'll say something and we're both saying crazy things, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna win.
I'm gonna win the crazy contest right now. So you just look out.
I don't care if people think I'm crazy. That's why I'm gonna win.
For sure. I love this. Another one that I just it doesn't work for me, because I guess it's too much artificial angst for me. I don't know. Tell me what you think, but enemies to lovers is not my favorite trope. Like, because no. And I think because you start off with so much arguing and so much drama and so much fighting, there has to be, it can't be over the top. So for example, in Penelope Douglas's Tris Venom 6, and Charles and I reviewed that book, I was like, this is like bordering on bullying, and like, this is unhealthy. This dynamic is crazy. Like, it just didn't work for me. And by the time they finally did get to resolve their conflict, it was already 3/4 of the way through the book. And I was just like, no, I'm not buying it, because this seems like such a unhealthy dynamic. Like, I don't like it. It doesn't work.
I don't mind like antagonists to lovers.
Yes.
But like enemies to lovers, it's like, if they really hate each other with like legitimate reasons, it's like, I'm not rooting for them to be together. Like, no, thank you.
Like, you guys need to go to your separate corners and just
there's like a lot of people you could be with instead. Like, I'm not rooting for that. Antagonistic to lovers is kind of just like, you guys are arguing so much your clothes are going to fall off. Like, that I kind of like.
Yes.
I like that. So I think it's like a differentiation in the trope.
Agreed. Like, there was, have you read, I think her name is Sajmi Patel, The Trouble with Hating You? It's the one with the yellow cover.
It sounds really familiar, but I don't think I've read it.
Okay. I didn't think I was going to like it. It was like one of those where I was like I was rounding out my order on like Better World Books, one of those places, whatever.
Yeah.
and I got it, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. And in this particular book, it is an enemies to lovers trope. It's set in an Southeast Asian or Indian culture, so you learn a lot about, and they're set in, I think it's in like North Carolina. So it's like a very insular community. Everybody knows everybody, and the elders sort of have a lot of say. And so she educates you a lot about that. So I thought that was totally cool. And it's all about families setting up these arranged marriage situations. And because this main character is so angry at her father for various reasons, she is put off by this guy that is set up in an arranged situation. And so she's nasty to him from jump. And from that point forward, she all the way through the entire book till like the last 20% is really a bitch to him. And in those situations, he then is jumping through a lot of hoops to try to win her and chase her and be good to her. And I just think when we talk about suspending belief, in reality, I would be like, dude, you need to get out of that situation because she's treating you like crap, and nobody is worth you jumping through all of that to try to be in a relationship. And guess what? What happens when the honeymoon is over and like you're in this situation, now you're stuck because you have kids, and like I want to see that sequel of like what that drama looks like after the fact. You know what I mean?
I hope you like jumping because you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life. Through all of the hoops forever.
Forever and ever. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, so it doesn't. So there's that. And then on the flip side, and I don't know if this is a trope, but this is, and I've said this before that I absolutely love, and I don't know what this says about my twisted mind, but I love a good menage. Is that a trope? Menage? I think it is.
Sure. Why not? It could be a trope. I'm not gatekeeping tropes.
I love a good MFM menage. Like it's just, especially when everybody in the situation is bringing something necessary to the table. Like, and it just, we're all together a unit. It's not just like we're hopping in and out of an intimate situation, but rather we're together as a unit working towards stuff. And this dynamic is as important as this dynamic is as the menage is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm all for a throuple. Like I don't mind it at all. Like, I'm not yucking someone's yum. If everyone's like cool with this situation, have it. Go be a throuple.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. If y'all are happy, good. I just want people to be happy.
And usually people in throuples are very happy, okay? Because they're having lots of orgasms. So serotonin is flowing everywhere.
Exactly. You're not in a throuple accidentally. You chose to be in one because it made you happy to do it. So go be in a throuple. I don't care.
Totally. And there is, one of my like sort of, I think my best examples of that is The Feral King by Sparrow Beckett, Tragic King, Feral King. That is so good. That's a really good example of a good throuple situation. It works, and it brings in a little BDSM stuff too.
Yeah. It's weird. Like I've read more throuples in fantasy books than I have like in romances.
Interesting. Wonder what that's.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It just kind of happened. It's not like I guess I haven't really got out of my way to get throuple romances in particular, but like I've read like two different like books off the top of my head that have a throuple in them. They're both fantasies.
Were they good? What were they? Do you want to recommend?
Iron Widow.
Iron Widow by who?
Jiren. It's like Jiren J. Zhao, I think.
Okay.
Hold on. I have a computer. Yes, Jiren J. Zhao.
Okay.
Iron Widow. Incredible. Technically sci-fi, I'm going to say. Very good.
I love it.
And the Chorus of Dragons series by Jen Lyons. The throuple happens after the first book, but it is a throuple.
Ooh, I love it. Okay, I'm going to add that.
Those books are intense, though. The last book just came out, so it's a complete 5-book series. So if you want to binge, go ahead. But like, there's usually dual time periods going on concurrently, and it's a huge, expansive world. And also, there's reincarnation. So like, it's very there's a lot of plates spinning in the air all at once, and it's like a lot, but it's very good.
For sure. Love it. So like, go ahead. So tell me that the other one. So there's that one. Those are the two fantasies. So
those are the two I could think of off the top of my head.
I guess I didn't like, of course, like fantasy would have like, you know, throuple situation. I guess I think of it more in like contemporary romance because that's where I tend to find it. But you can have it anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Oh, N.K. Jemisin, 5th season. That's
It's,
like
it's been, it's been on my TBR. Like, not, let me not say this. It's been TBR adjacent. Like, I've been watching it going, am I going to like this? I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant.
I don't know. Okay, here's my take on it. I think it's a masterpiece. It's very good. It's very interesting, like writing style, because part of it's from second person perspective, which is you don't get a lot. Ooh. So it's the you perspective, okay. And it's very confusing and long. It's like a dying world trope, and I don't think I'm smart enough to fully understand everything that happened in it. So that's why I think it's a masterpiece. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I enjoyed it, but there was so much going on. I'm like, I don't even think I got everything, you know?
I think that's why Kate Denison's doing that master writing class, because she's been put into a category of her own in terms of her world building and her magical systems and all of that. Like, she's put into a class like Brandon Sanderson, like over there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So do you think I'll like it if I try it though? Does it have enough romance to keep me like interested and smut?
Well, I mean, there is some smutty bits in it, definitely. There is basically it's hard to explain because it's so like a new world, and I don't want to take like the whole rest of this time explaining it. Yeah. But basically, it's dying world trope, so it's like post-apocalyptic kind of. It's basically the end of the world, and there's all this like there's magical people, and there's like kind of enforced breeding between them. So they're like, oh, you and you go make babies. Ooh. And stuff. And eventually, this guy and this girl, they don't want to be having sex with each other, obviously. Right. He's actually gay and kind of has been put into the situation where he must perform. And they eventually kind of escape. And then they end up with like other people on this other island or something. And then they both find a dude that they're like, sup? And he kind of completes their little throuple kind of situation.
You sold me. I'm gonna check it out. I've been watching it and wondering if I would like it or not, so I will add it to the list. I have that, and I have the Priory of the Orange Tree that are like on the side that I'm just sitting there like I need to get into. And I think the Priory of the Orange Tree is a Sapphic romance. I think, if my memory serves.
I don't know. One of those books I look at, I'm like, I ain't never gonna read that. Like, I've come to terms with it.
I know. I'm ambitious.
I was like, I'm never gonna read this. Like, I've made peace with it. It's just not gonna happen for me.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. No, so thruples and menages, love. On the flip side, I do not tend to resonate with whole bunch of, what's it called? When it's five or more people together.
Oh, like just a group? Like group sex? I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a new term. It's called reverse harem. Sorry.
Oh, reverse harem. It's still just a harem. I refuse to call it a reverse harem.
You're like, a harem. What are you talking about? I'm like, you know that new thing. You're like,
it's a harem. I refuse to call it a reverse harem. I feel like, I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way. It's just like, it's still a harem.
It doesn't work for me. Like, and the only time, there are three times that I can think of that I was like, this didn't bother me. And one was in Credence in Penelope Douglas. And Jen from the book Refuge tells me, she's like, well, that's not technically a reverse harem because they ultimately wind up with one person. So I was like, okay, so I get that. And then the other two that are clearly reverse harems, and they, for whatever reason, they worked well and I liked them, was Den of Vipers. I really like that one.
Okay.
And so you'll tell me in a minute. And then Serena Ackroyd's, it's theirs to keep, hers to hold, and ours to cherish, or whatever. That one was done in such an amazing way. And I like that one so much because everybody in that, it's 5 guys to 1 female. And everybody is together because there's this one guy that they're best friends with, that they went to Oxford together. And he is a mathematical genius, and he is on the spectrum, and he doesn't operate well independently. So they've all sort of come together to take care of him. and they've, in their genius minds, have sorted out that they're not good boyfriend materials independently because they're so focused on their work. But the 5 of them collectively can be a good partner because each gives something different to the female than they would independently. And the way that Serena Ackroyd crafts a tale, it all comes together so beautifully that you're like, I buy this, I believe it, and it's a beautiful unit together, and it really works. But Serena will say, she says, I work myself into it in a knot trying to get there to this good place. And in that particular series, she really did.
Nice.
So tell me about your thoughts on Den of Vipers.
I just don't want to fuck with it. It's like demented for a romance. I think it's hard to describe it as a romance. It's a bit demented, just the shit going on in there that I'm like, not for me. I'm good. Like, I know enough to not jump into that one.
You're like I'm still
like knives going into things that's not a knife rack.
No. Oh my God. You're like, that doesn't work. You're like, I'm sorry.
I mean, at least they put in the handle side, like, you know, otherwise it's just stabbing. That's just stabbing.
I was going, what? I don't understand this. Yeah.
You don't want to mix up the ends of the knife when inserting in those areas. Anyway, we're going to move past that one.
Now, how about I start talking, scrub this, and let you talk? Tell me about this.
I'm going to catch up on some comments and see if everyone else has some like things to say. I would love to interview Leigh Bardugo as well. Also, hello, thank you for coming. A lot of Leigh Bardugo read us right now. I remember Leigh Bardugo spoiled Crooked Kingdom for me. Yay! I'm so glad.
Nice.
You know what? Same. Like, I do love a Grump Sunshine.
Ooh, yeah.
I do love one. Either gender or, you know, non-gender can be the Grump or the Sunshine. I'm good with all of it. Like any Grumps and Sunshines together. I love that.
And I love Mariana Zapata. Her Grump to Sunshine stuff is so, and I love the slow burn component that adds to it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, I'm not opposed to slow burns, but I am impatient. So it has to move enough that, like, I'm not like, there was a word for it, bangxiety, where you're getting anxiety, are they going to bang or not? Like, bangxiety, it's like a word. And I was like, I don't want to have bangxiety. Like, I don't want to get to like page like 290 of 300 and they haven't done it yet. And I was just like, you tricked me? It's not okay.
And so, that's Mariana Zapata. You're just like, seriously, are you serious? I'm all happy with everything. I get you. Like, we got to that place, but like, is it happening? And then on the last page, you're like, seriously. So that's why sometimes I'm like,
yeah. People are like, oh, I love the slow burn. I love like the longing glances across a room and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But eventually they have to cross the room. You know, like, that's where I am with it. I like it to a certain extent, but like, you got it. A girl on the go, you got to get a move on.
Yeah. There's a limit.
Oh, we were past that one. Nice. Crooked Kingdom. It's a good one. Just be prepared to have your heart ripped out. It's going to happen. I'm sorry.
Just go with it.
There you go.
I know. Yeah, right.
Yay. I mean, if I'm going to ask someone about like alpha books and like dark romances, I would definitely come to you. I feel like you might be an expert in it.
Oh my gosh. I sometimes when I hear about stuff that other people read, I'm like, really, I'm normal. I'm sane. I promise. Like,
no, like you're a normal human, but like if I'm going to ask for like, if I wanted to get a dark romance, I'd be like, who would I ask for a recommendation? I'd come over to Taji.
Thank you, Amanda.
I do love a marriage of convenience though. I love fake dating, arranged marriage of convenience. Love.
Yeah.
I like fake dating because it breeds like zaniness, and I think zaniness is the underrated virtue when it comes to rom-coms. Be silly.
Yes.
Be silly. Like, I want silly shit in my rom-com, and like this all the like the weird like trying to fake dating, but they're gonna fall in love for real. Like, I love it. But I do like A Marriage of Convenience. I'm kind of getting into that one a little bit more than fake dating.
I agree with you. I love A Marriage of
I
Convenience.
know.
Because in that inherent is a slow burn, but it's not crazy slow burn, but it's just the amount of pacing that's necessary in order for them, because the relationship is already there. You're already married because you're a marriage of convenience. But like, taking that time to get to that next level is inherent in the story. And that's like where the meat of it is. And it's really, really
Yeah.
good. And a good example of that is Carrie Ann Cole's, it's not No Tomorrow. It's the one where, the high school girl marries the guy for the insurance because she needs the insurance because of the mental health stuff. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I do not.
I'll think of it. It's a really good example of marriage convenience, a little bit of a slow burn. It gives all the dynamics. I'll tell you here in a minute when I think of it.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna, I'd be remiss if I didn't just pull this one out at all times.
Oh my gosh, good job. Yes.
Marriage of Convenience. I just happened to have it out for no reason. It just was out. I was like,
I was just saying, America for the win.
Batman. Regency era Batman. Like, it's a great one.
I love that.
People love enemies to lovers. I like antagonists to lovers. We kind of went over this one. Like, it's part of enemies to lovers, but I don't want them to be so big of enemies that I'm like, you should not be together.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Hi, Beth. Thank you for coming. Okay. Secret babies. Yes, we were talking about that. They are, we don't like those either.
Yeah.
Yeah, not all romances need to end with like marriage and babies. A lot of them do. I think especially in a lot of like historical romances, they end with like babies. Mind you, that's kind of a natural conclusion just because, this is Regency era. They weren't using birth control. And if they're begging the bejesus out of each other, a natural byproduct of that is babies. Exactly. So I kind of give it a pass a bit more in my historical romances. Yeah. Contemporary ones, I'm just like, I don't know. I know very few people with children.
Yeah.
You have children, correct?
I have one little guy.
Mm-hmm. One little guy. So not knocking mothers. Go for it. It's a hard job. Personally, I don't have any. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know. I'm not planning on it, but who knows? Yeah. But I don't know. It's just modern age, and like I feel like our generation, there's fewer people with babies as the goal.
And I couldn't imagine having more than one. Like my son is 8, and I'm good. I'm like, I'm good.
The factory is closed. Yeah.
Totally. The other thing, as you were talking about marriage of convenience, is what do you think about the shared bed trope? So like we're stuck.
There's only one bed, of course. We're gonna be your grown-ups about it. Oops, grown-ups have sex with each other. I love it. I love it. When you think this is gonna be fine, it's not gonna be fine. We all know it going in. It's 0% gonna be fine.
Exactly. And I especially love it when they like wake up the next morning and she's like, what is that against my bum? And you're like, what do you think that is? That's poking you. Called a penis. It's not his elbow. Okay.
Maybe. It depends, I guess. But like, it's probably a penis. Like, when in doubt, it's probably a dick. I love that trope too. I like only one bed. I also kind of like, oh no, my childhood friend is now hot.
I was just gonna say, when you're like best friends to love, like, or friends to lovers, like, definitely love.
I love friends to lovers. I like especially like your childhood friends. One has gone away to school or something. It's been a long time. You come back and they like meet each other again, and you're like, oh wait, you're that person? Oh, you have boobs now. Oh God, like one of those. They're like, oh my gosh, you have all this. And then they're like, I don't know what to do with my feelings, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of also like, I sort of am on the fence about it. Sometimes if it's done right, then I'm okay with it. It just depends. Which is my brother's best friend, or my sister's best friend, or whatever, sister's brother, whatever. That whole thing. Like if it is that I'm hiding and I'm having to keep it secret, and then when he finds out, they get self-righteous. The brother gets self-righteous about, you're my best friend. How could you do this? Like that whole thing. Like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But So I sort of like it and I sort of don't. It just, I guess it depends on the book and how it's done and how it's handled.
Okay, I don't know if this is like a weird thought I've always had in those like brothers best friend situations,
Mm-hmm.
where he's just like, when the brother gets offended, it's just like, no, you're that best of friends that he literally needed to find the female version of you to have sex with. Is it just me? But like, I get that vibe out of it. We're like,
so funny, I didn't even think about it, but it's kind of true, right? Like I had
you're
to pick
such best friends that he found another version of you. I mean, or another brother. I'm not saying who can be with who, but you know, let's say a historical romance, it's usually a little sister and then the brother's best friend.
Right.
It's usually how it goes. So we're just going to use that as the example. But it's just
Right.
like, you guys are such good friends.
Yeah.
He's like banging your sister because it's the closest he can get to banging you. Is that like a thing? I don't know. I always got like a vibe out of that. And I was like, maybe you should be like, oh, I'm like, we really are best friends.
I love that Amanda just got her inner psychologist out. She was like, okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so what we're trying to say here is
I don't know. Like, I always got that vibe. It's just like, yeah, you're so close to this person, and then you find this other person who's also close to them and kind of similar. They have similar upbringings. They have similar like things. Like, it's like, obviously you would fall in love with them too.
totally.
It seems very natural.
Totally. I agree. Now, like another controversial one is, and I know some people love it and some people don't, and it depends on when it occurs. So how do you feel? So 2 questions. How do you feel about age gap? And then how do you feel about age gap that begins before 18 and then doesn't sort of progress until after 18?
I don't want anything happening before 18.
Mm-hmm.
That's gross. It's called grooming. Not into it. Maybe that's a dark romance thing, but I'm just like, no, you're an adult.
Yeah.
Don't think 16-year-olds are hot. That's gross. After 18, like, I don't know. Here's the thing. In real life, I don't care about age gaps necessarily, as long as everyone's in this relationship because they want to be there. No one's getting exploited. Then, like, yeah.
Right.
Who am I to judge? Go ahead, fuck each other. I don't care. Go do whatever you want. I don't care if he's 20 years older than you, or she's 20 years older than him, or whatever the age gap is, or 2 men, 2 women, etc. It could be anything. And I'm like, fine, if you all are happy, go for it. I'm not grossed out. It's gross when it's obviously there's grooming involved.
I was just going to say, that's what people have a problem when it feels like if it starts, when I say starts before 18, I don't mean anything physical, but like it looks like grooming that happens before and then it doesn't progress until like sort of get a little.
I would even say after 18. Like if someone's grooming this young, impressionable person, like, I mean, like, I was young and easily tricked in my early 20s. Like, let's be real. I got myself into some shenanigans.
I look back at some of those things that I did in my and I was like, seriously,
how am I alive? Like, yeah, no. So even that, like, if someone, like, if I was 23 and the guy was like 43 or something, old enough to be my father technically, and like is grooming me and having me act different kinds of ways, and then getting in a relationship with me, I find it creepy. But if I just met a 43-year-old that I liked and he liked me and we were both happy together, then like,
totally
do what you need to do. I think as long as it's not exploitive, then I'm cool with it. So I'm not against age gap romances. It doesn't bother me at all. I just want no one being exploited.
I agree 100%. I like age gaps. I don't mind them. I feel like as long as everybody's consenting and cool, but as long as it doesn't feel exploitive and it doesn't feel icky. And there's some that push the boundaries. Like, some people love Birthday Girl Penelope Douglas. Some people don't like that. Some people like Torn by Carrie Cole. Some other people don't, because those are like those type of, age gaps where some might interpret it as exploitive, some might not, depends on your perspective. So I think it's a fine line. And if it's executed well, then an age gap could be amazing and it could be really well and it looks really good. And I think sometimes people feel less icky about it if the age gap is less, whereas if it's like 10 years or more, then people start to go, you know what I mean? So that's one of those.
10 years a lot. Like 10 years is like,
Yeah.
common, especially a historical romance, because like the girls are like 20 and the guy's like 33.
Yeah.
Just super common all the time. So like that age gap usually doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
But like if she was 16 and he was 33, I'd have lots of problems with this.
We have lots of problems, like clearly, like for sure. But so I think it's like one of those genres that if the author does it well and sets it well, then we're all good with it. And most people don't have a problem unless there's something else that, people sort of have triggers for, then that's different.
Definitely. Hold on.
What you got in the comments?
That's a whole other thing to unpack. Girl. Detail. Juicy, and I'm like intrigued. Yay! Rebecca Weatherspoon is fun. Definitely, like Rebecca Weatherspoon's written a lot of different stuff. She's also written like sapphic vampire harem stuff, like that's like really filthy, like filthy. And then she's written some that are more like contemporary. Like she wrote a book called Rafe about a hot male nanny. It says Rafe, a hot male nanny on the cover.
Wow.
And the sequel is called Ziti. It's a female lead's friend, and she marries like this big Scottish guy who's bisexual. And you know how sometimes something that rhymes with legging gets mentioned in books, but then it never happens? No. Like Rebecca Weatherspoon's like, no. I'm gonna leg him silly.
Just FYI.
Just FYI. No, it's going to happen in that. You're not going to get teased.
Oh my God, to my TBR for sure. When I do my reviews, I'm going to be like, thank you, Amanda, for this.
Yeah. It's that like, it's like Chekhov's dildo. You can't introduce it into the book if you're not going to use it by the end of the book.
I'm just saying. Oh my gosh.
Oh, well.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Girl, what is the tea here? There's a lot of juice in your stories, and like I'm intrigued.
I know we gotta bring her on to the show for spill the tea.
Have you read Brutal Prince?
Yes, I love it.
I have not read that one. I don't know what it's about, but a mafia, I'm assuming.
Sophie Lark weaves a mafia tale that's set in, especially as you're going into some of the other series, that's like set at Hogwarts. It's amazing. It's absolutely like at a mafia school. Like it's weird to explain it, but that's exactly what it is. And some of her like underworld books are like the parents of that, the predecessor. And then when you get into the next generation, it's just like the rebel and all of that. It's amazing. And it's good stuff. I'm telling you.
Nice. I feel like you found a kindred spirit.
I love it, Leah. That's awesome. We're going to talk dark romance. Mm-hmm.
Okay, especially with mafia romance. Don't like age gaps, or a lot of the ones people recommended me are age gaps, or my library just doesn't have them. Hey, this like Angelari really likes mafia, no age gap. So hey, what's like a good beginner mafia romance without an age gap? Maybe not too dark, maybe just like dark adjacent to start, and then you can deep dive. I feel like you would be the expert on this one. I mean, the Cressley Cole ones, I hadn't read any mafias before, and I enjoyed those, but they're filthy. Like, they're real dirty. There's a strong kink factor in those.
I thought, and I'm a little bit, hold on. I'm a little bit, I'm trying to go like light for you. I thought that Cora Riley's, the Bound by Honor, the first book in the Mafia Chronicles series, and that is a age gap as well as a mafia romance, and it gives you, an introduction into the Chicago. It's the Chicago outfit marrying the Italian outfit, and I thought it's Luca, and I forget what her name is, but it is.
But that's really an age gap or not an age gap?
It's an age gap. Does she want
what if no age gap? No age gap. Okay, well, I'll put in Cressley Cole. Why not? You could stop reading if it gets too. There's a lot. There's like a sex club in it. There's a lot going on, but it's called The Professional, and it's Russian mob. I remember it's filthy, but like in a fun way. But no age gap there, so I recommend that one. I read it many years ago and I had fun with it.
Or she could also read Mafia. Irish Mob is the Filthy Fecker series by Serena Ackroyd. There's no age gap in that. That's a really good, subtle, like not too crazy. They're super fun. You can check those out. And then, like I said, we said Sophie Lark has the Brutal Birthright series and the Kingmaker series. The Brutal Birthright is the parents, and then the Kingmakers are the second generation. Those kids, the Kingmakers is the one that's like set at Hogwarts. But you need to kind of read the first series, and they're subtle, not too crazy. Introduction to Mafia, and Sophie writes she's a good writer, writes a really good story, strong plot, character arc development, fun, and she covers different tropes in each book. So that's fun as well.
Thank you. Saving the day, Taji, coming in with it.
Trying to be nimble.
I mean, sometimes I can't give a recommendation. I like having people on who can give different recommendations. It's great.
It's nice.
The Tarot Club called The Empress. It's about the Bratva, and she's a witch. Okay.
Okay, she's a practitioner and the craft is legit. Nice. We love that.
Okay. I love a good witchy book.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
It's definitely like if you're not expecting it, it's a lot bigger of a punch. If you go in knowing like this is going to be a lot, you can kind of like brace yourself. But yeah, like I've been into things like hell, Ice Planet Barbarians, like before they rewrote it when they mass produced the cover, and it had an intense rape scene in like the first chapter, and you're just like, I didn't know this was on page. Yeah. And this is before I realized you were going to meet other aliens, and I was like, they're going to bang these dudes? Like,
I was like, what is that other append? What? I was like, when I read it, and I was like, there's that little hook. I was like, hook. I was like, wait, what? Let's go back.
It's like that.
God.
So like this, I guess it'd be. But anyway, yeah, if you don't know it's coming, it's a lot. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Hold on. Okay. Oh no, I lost my place in the comments. I'm going back. Hold on.
Go back. So you got Jane Eyre is my favorite age gapper.
That is. I just read that one. I read it right after reading Rebecca, and it's like the same age gap.
I have Rebecca on my TBR, so I'm like, I'm gonna get to it. Is it good? Am I gonna love it?
It's like watching a girl have a panic attack for 300 pages.
You're like, so if that's your thing, like, I guess.
It wasn't sexy. It was just like watching she's like, he even comments like, wow, I'm old enough to be your dad. Weird, let's get married. And even he comments on it. Like, this is strange, right? This is strange, right? Like, you're 20. I think she's like 19 or something, and he's like 39 or something like that. It's like a 20-year age gap. And it's just like, and then she just gets left alone a lot at the house, and like people are fucking with her, and she's just slowly losing her mind and just having spiraling panic attacks. That's pretty much what it is. Like, you're expecting something kind of ghosty and like gothic. Like, I didn't get it out of there. I just had someone like having a panic attack.
I might skip it then. Thank you for, because then there's nothing worse when you're in a book.
I got drunk and read it, so you don't have to. I have a full review. Don't worry.
I love it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was mentioning that one, the Mafia, Magic Mafia. Okay. Good stuff. Okay. Well, I mean, if it's a good 10%.
There you go.
Okay. On that note,
go for it.
I hate the word feast in a sexy context, because it just makes me think someone's going blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just like messy. Just like a goo beard. Like, I don't want to be feasted on. Like, it's gross. It like will kill my boner immediately. I hate the word feast in a sexy setting.
No. Yeah, that's and that's almost like, this other idea of like an author describing somebody pounding away like that. I don't want you pounding away on me, especially if it's like, I'm supposed to believe that you're a virgin and you're so like in the scene, so into it, so aroused that he starts pounding away at you, and you're just like, yes, give me more. I love it. I'm like, no, I'm like that. I'm no, sorry.
There
It
needs
doesn't
to
work
be
like
some
that.
finesse here. It's not a jackhammer.
Exactly. Exactly.
But no, yeah. If I see the word feast, I'm immediately
You're like, I'm not feeling it. No, no, no.
no. Yeah. So that one, that's like, you know, some people hate the word moist.
Yes.
I would rather hear moist 100 times than see the word feast. So gross to me. I don't even like it in food settings. Like, I don't like the word. It's gross.
You like just erase it from the vernacular. Don't want it there anymore.
Don't want it. Okay. Okay, so like the stakes are super high in enemies to lever. Like there could be like a forced proximity thing where like you're on the run and you have to rely on each other. Like that could be interesting.
That could be, and I could buy into that. You know what I mean? Like I said, it, and like there has to be, you know, and this is the other thing. There has to be like a switch where you've done this horrible thing to me or whatever, and we've switched, and we've like now I'm relying on you. I can have sympathy or empathy for you, but I get it. But the other thing that I don't like that drives me crazy, there could be a little bit of it, but a whole book of this makes me nuts because then I'm just like, it's ridiculous. Is groveling. I know some people love a good grovel. And like they're like, and there's whole recommendations on books that are filled with groveling. I don't like a bunch of groveling. Either I'm going to forgive you or I'm not. And we're going to talk about what you did and you're going to make amends and we're going to like whatever. And then we move forward. But like constantly having to, I'm not sure if I'm going to forgive you. And then you're doing all this extra stuff and grovel. Like it gets to be a little bit too much for me. And that sort of gets on my nerves a little bit.
Yeah. I kind of go the opposite way where I'm just like, if you're groveling that much, it feels performative.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just like, no. You need to grovel and be like, I did something wrong. This is how I'm going to make it better, blah, blah, blah. But if you're constantly like doing all of these things, like you don't need to crucify yourself over it, you know? Like that makes me think you don't mean it. You just have a high pain tolerance. You know what I mean?
I hadn't thought about it in that way, but you're 100% right. But I guess it just got on my nerves. Like if I'm reading it and I'm just like, you don't need to be constantly doing this. It's either I'm going to forgive you and we're going to work through it and we're going to take steps. And I want to see more about how we worked through it and got over it as opposed to like all the groveling. So yes, you're right. It just seems performative and like.
You're right. If you fucked up, you need to apologize appropriately to the level of fuck up that happened. Totally. But like when it's like excessive and like the whole book is groveling, it's just like, do you mean it or you just really, really want to get at her? Like it's just,
totally.
So, but yes, but you know what? Enemies to Lovers does bring out banter.
It does. It does.
But that's why I like antagonists to lovers because there's all of the banter.
A good example, I think, of like antagonists to lovers is Christina Lauren's Beautiful Bastard series. I love the banter. And there are things where we talk about laugh out loud, like the stuff that goes down.
Oh, yeah. Like old Christina Lauren is filthy and fantastic. And newer Christina Lauren is a bit more mass appeal, in my opinion.
And you wish you would have stade the way she was.
You did like a voyeurism sex club in one of your books. That would never happen now. Like old Christina Lauren is filthy and I love it. They have a book called Sweet Filthy Boy, for fuck's sake.
That's right. You do. Yes.
And he was a sweet filthy boy and I love him.
Yes.
He was French as well. If you listen to the audiobook on it, the guy does a French accent as well. So you're just like, oh.
Love it.
And it's also one of the few like romances or a sex scene in a romance where like it didn't turn out well. Like it's awkward and there's like, this wasn't really good for either of us. We should try this again. Like it's kind of like nice seeing like a realistic thing happen where they're both just kind of, it just didn't work. And then they're like,
oh,
that didn't go well. Like I give it like a C- at best, and they're like, yeah, that's fair. Like it was kind of interesting seeing like a bad sex scene in a book.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets better after that, but it was like interesting seeing like sometimes it just doesn't go well.
Yeah. I also love a good book or a series that's set in a sex club. Mm-hmm. I love it. I don't know why I love that so much. Like the Blindfold Club, Nikki Sloan. Love that. Or if you've read Christine Ashley's The Honey Club series, Those are really good. I don't know. I think, what's her name? She wrote Desperate Measures. Katie Roberts. Katie Roberts, and like her, her sex club. Like, why I think I like it is because you have a cast of characters. You see them cameos in other books. That each individual book has their HEA. You see that couple, and then you're back at the setting that you see the other characters, and now we're focused on another set of characters. I always think that's fun. I know it's not a trope, but it's fun.
You were talking about throuples earlier. Love.
Yeah.
Everyone loves enemies to lovers. I know. The banter, when it works, it works. I'm just like, I change it to antagonists to lovers because I feel like if someone's genuinely your enemy, like if I was a romance heroine, like I don't think my romantic lead should be like a MAGA supporter, like like no, like maybe someone who just has the opposite opinion of me, but like playfully, like antagonist. Like I don't want someone that I'm fundamentally not going to get along with, probably.
You said it needs to be good banter, but it doesn't need to be like nasty or mean or like bullying.
Yeah, or if I had a bully like as my love interest, it's like, no, I don't want them together.
No. There are some people that like love bully romances, and other people say like, there's no reason under the sun that I could ever see why you would bully somebody and why we could ever justify and make that okay. But I love that what you said, because I don't like enemies to lovers, but antagonists, poke at me and I'll poke back when it's fun banter. All in.
Irritating each other all day, but you're irritating each other so hard your clothes fall off. I love that.
Yeah, that tension. I love that tension.
Yeah, fifth season, another fifth season fan.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, MMF. MF. Isn't that the same or is it different?
No, there's no sword crossing in MFM, and there is sword crossing in
MFM. So
okay. She's in between, and they're on the periphery with her. And
MF, it means everybody's doing it. Okay. Yep. I learned something today.
So what was her question? I didn't even see because I got sidetracked with MFM. Okay. Just finished a good book. What was the good book that you finished?
I don't know. Maybe if you haven't told us, Layla, please tell us. Yeah. But I learned something today. Fiery is sapphic. That's confirmed.
Oh, good. Okay. So it's on my TBR. I got to get to it. So. Love reverse harem.
I refuse to call it reverse. It's just a harem.
It's a harem. She's like, I'm not calling it reverse.
I'm a feminist.
And DNF did. Okay.
It's very long. If it's not holding your attention, that's a long time.
Yeah.
To be stuck with something,
Yeah. I've gotten to the place. Are there fantasy books with reverse? Yes. It's the
Rooksgrove Manor thing that has like spooky stuff, right?
The Lady of Rooksgrove Manor is fantasy for sure. And then there's the Queen series. It's called Queen Takes Rook, Queen Takes Checkmate, whatever. It's Queen Takes More series by Jolie Sue Buckhart. And there are like 9-10 books in that series. And it's similar to Lady of Rooksgrove Manor in that this is a vampire series, and she is a vampire, and she comes into her vampire and she develops her harem of other vampire guys, and it becomes this bloody harem mess. I don't know. I read it. I was like
a blood orgy? Like, what's happening?
It is. Well, they're vampires, and so they're taking blood from all kinds of places. And I just read it. I read it. What the heck did I just read? I am so confused.
But part of me also really likes it when like there's a vampire romance and they do some vampire shit in it.
Like what do you mean by vampire shit though?
Okay, what was it called? Halfway to the Grave, for example.
Okay, I've read that one.
That's a paranormal romance. I mean, you're on a paranormal romance kick right now. We'll get into it in a minute. But that one, he's like Spike from Buffy, but like sexier.
Ooh. All right. All right.
He uses his fangs in interesting ways in intimate areas.
That's Queen Takes whatever, because the fangs. all of like it's very interesting places.
It's not just like they're having normal sex and maybe a little bite on the neck. No, he's biting places you don't expect him to bite.
Like, it can be hidden well unless I'm wearing specific clothing or like something like
that. I mean, I think it'd be always hidden where he bit her. It would have to be. No, it's always hidden. Unless you just spread eagle on the beach with nothing on.
The gynecologist's office, and the gynecologist like, you've got a bite here. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that last time, that seems new.
Yeah, so that's the Queen Take series. And then the Lady of Rooksgrave Manor is human women that are sort of working in a brothel, if you will, and decide that they're going to have relationships with men that are, some are of different species, like maybe a shifter, maybe a vampire, maybe a squid tentacle dude with a bunch of tentacles that do a bunch of things. And I don't know, I was just like, I mean, Charles and I were like, what did I just read? That's really interesting. We read it for everybody because people wanted us to read it. So we read it. And then I just went, this was vampire smut. It was fantasy, alien smut. I don't know what's going on.
Love it. Sometimes I'm just like, I know exactly why I'm reading it. It is for that, you know?
But people love it. People love the Lady of Rooksgrave Manor. There are people that is that Karen? No, who wrote that? Moaning Man, whatever her name is. People love it, and she's got a fandom for sure, and she's coming out with a second book on it, and it is what it is. So
there you go. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So Broken Earth.
But it's no Broken Earth. I don't know that.
Oh, I think that's 5th season, because that's like Broken Earth. I don't know. I'm not sure. You have to please explain. Oh, Layla did comment back about this one, the good book, the MMF book from yesterday.
Okay.
And it's a Peter Pan retelling one.
Oh, is it the
Never King ?
Never King, exactly, with the skeleton guy on the cover. I have it. It's on my TBR. So if it's good, let me know.
Who's banging who? Is it Peter, Wendy, and Hook?
I don't know.
Gatsby? Like, that's an antagonist to lover situation, Hook and Peter.
No, right? Oh my gosh.
No, grown-up Peter. I'm sorry, I gotta like preface this, but all of these characters are grown-ups for me in my brain right now. There's no children involved.
Of course, that goes without saying. Yeah, Never King, I definitely have, and there's like a sequel to that. There's a follow-up, but I have that on my TBR as well. Like, I'm just slow to kind of get to this stuff because I go off on tangents sometimes in terms of what I want to read. So I'll get there.
Yeah. A lot of urban fantasy with like harems or throuples. I think that's what we were just speaking about. There we go. Hello. Hi, Jessica. How are you? There you go. Monster romance harem. I've heard of it a lot, but I have not read it. So I just know of it.
Yeah. And so to go back to what we were talking about before, the Never King, it's by Nikki St. Crow. And so the first book is the Never King, and then the next one is the Dark One. And it looks like it's about Hook. Seems like that one is about Hook, so, and the Lost Boys. So it's a dark retelling of Peter and Wendy. So I got it on my TBR. I'll get to it.
It's going to be a Hook, Peter, Wendy.
Oh, we'll see.
Because, like, you know what? That Captain Hook and Peter Pan, as a grown-up, they're two grown-ups. Like, oh boy, that's an enemies to lovers I'd want to see.
It says, if you like enemies to lovers romance with hot, ruthless, morally gray love interest, you'll enjoy the Never King series and the Lost Boys. You can expect hate, kissing, fighting, bickering, and a touch that I'll unalive you vibes. If you touch, I'll unalive you vibes. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm very intrigued by it, though.
Yes, retellings we love. So,
Temple Den of Vipers. You know, people who love it very much love it, and I think it's a very divisive book. People love it or people hate it. I haven't seen someone who's kind of mediocre about it, but like for me, I'm like, okay.
It's true. And like I said, the same is for Penelope Douglas too. Birthday Girl. People either like it or they don't. There's not a real in between. It's like you're either one or the other. Go ahead. Marriage of Convenience.
Yeah, Marriage of Convenience is so fun.
A Marriage in Trouble. Yes. Alessandro Toro does a really good Marriage in Trouble story, and I loved how, and she brought in like a little bit of BDSM to kind of spice up their relationship and to kind of get them back on track. And this was like, a high school like sweethearts type situation. They went to college, got married, and then it sort of got in trouble, and they came back together, and she did a really good job with that.
Yeah, there's like I know like the Bromance Book Club is a Marriage in Trouble.
Mm-hmm.
There's one by Tessa Bailey. I'm trying to figure out which one it is. It's like part of the Fixer Up series.
You're right. It's the second one.
And that was like real Lover or Loser.
Lover or Loser. That's right.
Yeah, that series is muddy in general.
I know. That book took me by surprise. I was not expecting the level of smut that was in that book.
Oh, the second one's like, okay, hold my beer.
Right.
That one's just like, we're not even trying to have this, pretend it's not smutty.
Not even trying. I want to find that Alessandro Toro because I want you guys to know that, because I just read it recently and it was really good.
So while you're looking, Layla said a secret identity or mistaken identity is perhaps your favorite trope right now.
Ooh.
There are a lot of hijinks that ensue, and I have liked those quite a bit. Like Lindsay Sands has a few that are like mistaken identity that are fun. I think there is a consent issue there a little bit with like pretending to be someone else and engaging in a relationship with someone. There are some consent issues. I think it's the tone of the book that really portrays that and like what's happening.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Now to go back, you guys, so Alessandro Torre, so it was Filthy Vow and Twisted Marriage. And that is, I think, a really good example of Marriage in Trouble. And when you get into Twisted Marriage, some of the stuff that they get into in spicing it up and keeping it is really interesting. And one of which is like simulating going to a gynecologist. Quite interesting how they put a spin on that. So, but it was fun. It was a fun story for sure. So I won't gonna say
I kill him.
You got to read it, so I'm not going to say that, but it is.
Little duck lips, like I'm like that's not fun for anyone. The doctors doesn't like doing to you either.
The way that they do it is kind of interesting. So check it out. I'm like all flush over here. You're embarrassing, Amanda.
I have no shame. That's true though. You don't usually see like people who no one gives a shit if they have an age gap or not.
Right.
A 40-year-old and a 65-year-old, no one gives a shit about.
No.
People give a shit when it's like a young person and a much older person.
Totally.
When you get older, no one gives a shit. Everyone's like, yeah.
Speaking of older, we don't historically, not in historicals, but historically see in contemporary romances where the romance is about 40-year-olds or 50-year-olds older. It tends to be people that are in their 20s or whatever. But who does a great job at second chance romances is Maggie Cole. And Maggie Cole is her Mafia Wars. She's got the Irish Mafia War and then the spin-off, the Italian in New York, set in New York. And she has several books. When you talk about people that deserve an HEA, there are several books in that series where it takes the couple 20 years to get together. And it takes them so long because the forces external to them are literally pulling them apart and separating them. And it is absolutely phenomenal. And then the first series, she's got the Mafia Wars, the Irish series. There's one book that's called Ruthless Hunter, and that's the O'Malley family. And by the time they get together and you get their story, you're like, these people deserve to be together because everybody in their power did some stuff to pull these people apart. And when they do come together 20 years later, he's like 45 and she's like 40 something, and they've lost there's no children. She doesn't do like epilogue where everybody goes off in the sunset with children, because like, no, that doesn't happen. But rather you're just like, you're rooting for them because you like, they deserve to be together. So if you haven't checked out Maggie Cole. She writes a phenomenal story, and she starts it from book one and she weaves it all the way through. And by the time you get to that couple or whichever couple you're at, you've been hearing about them, and then it makes sense. It all sort of comes together. So she weaves a really nice tale for you if you haven't read any of that.
That's great. I switched my mic out. I don't know if it's like louder now or not.
It's more crisp.
Okay. I muted it for a second because I'm like, what if it goes badly? Okay, anyway, I changed my mic out. My boyfriend just texted me. He's like, you need to change your mic. It doesn't sound good.
Yeah, he's on point for you then.
No, he was nicer about it than that. But he was like, hey, like maybe switch your mic. So
yeah.
Anyway, hi.
Maggie Cole.
I didn't realize which mic it was on, so that's my own fault for not checking.
But it's good. But it was, I don't think it was, it was fine before. But this is nice and crisp.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It goes happily ever pretty.
Leg him. It's not like something I'm into in real life. I'm not going around trying to leg people, but like if you mention it a lot in a book, you need to put it in the book.
Oh.
It's like Dark Romance. You don't want that to actually happen to you. But you're like, it's fun to read about. Hot damn.
Totally. She said hot damn. I love it.
Okay. Huh. Well, like also, again, we were mentioning earlier, like age gaps like this were much more common, like especially historical romances. It just was.
Yeah, definitely.
That's only a 12-year, which is like the same of saying when you have a 20-year-old and a 33-year-old is like 12, 13 years. That was like, I think the standard for a lot of those relationships. 15's a bit young though. I feel like a 27-year-old just wouldn't have much in common with a 15-year-old, but I'm assuming you were happy and everything was consensual.
If you think about it, like in the 1900s, 1920s, 1940, like, you know what I mean? Like that was more the standard and it was more the societal norm. Everybody accepted it. But as we've evolved in our industrialized society, we've said, you know what? Our brains are not equipped to be, having a whole family at 15. So,
even later than that, people were marrying people a lot younger than them. Like even in the 50s, like it was quite the scandal for a bit. People were like, she's 14 and you're 30. And he's like, I'm in love. Like, okay. People forget like how recent that shit was going on. Like the same thing for like women's like rights. Like women couldn't even get their own credit cards until like the 80s. That's recent. That's recent history.
Slow coming, and we sort of look at it, but I'm glad that we're in a time when everybody is having open conversations, and this is what I said to somebody the other day. I love that we're talking about, like, I'm a feminist, right? Feminism to me means choice, and it means that I have the right to choose, and everybody has the right to choose. But we talk about it from women's rights because these are the most recent things, people of color, the most recent things we've been tackling. But I love, no matter which end of the spectrum you fall, with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, I'm not going to talk about where I fall, but I think
it's a whole other live show. Yeah,
but it does open up the conversation that men are subject to these things as well, and that we need to have conversations on both sides of the spectrum. And that, like, speaking of which, that takes me into a thing that I think is a pet peeve of mine that happens in books. I think that if we're talking about fairness, then it should be across the board. So as a female, I don't get to get upset and get mad at my heroine or my partner in this book and go over and slap him. Or I don't get to be mad and throw a drink in his face. And I know historically that has been shown that that's how women tend to react stereotypically to situation, because if he would do that same thing to me, it would not be accepted and tolerated. And so for me, I'm like, let's everybody keep their hands to themselves. Let's everybody keep their drinks in their drinks. Like, don't do that, like, across the board. And that would be the message that I would like to carry forward into the future, is that hitting, no matter whether it's male or female, is not okay. And that things that happen to women also happen to men. And we need to open up a dialogue and conversation to ensure that both ends are protected and heard and supported through those challenging circumstances. So that's my PSA. I hope that was okay.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Although I do like a good drink throw. I do like it. It's so saucy. I do like it. I gotta say. And then again, don't spill my wine. but anyway, I do like the drama of throwing a drink.
I'm gonna lose my shit too if you spill my wine.
I like the drama of that, so I'm gonna let that one slide. But if you want to know my whole take on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, they're both abusing each other and they're both horrible.
It's abuse, just abuse in general, and it's not okay. And it definitely is a toxic, codependent relationship, and nobody is going to question that Johnny. I was like, this would make a damn good book. Somebody needs to write this shit down.
Yeah, Johnny Depp wasn't like an angel here.
Like he obviously had a substance abuse, alcohol problem.
Yeah.
Like over here on this
neither
side,
of them did good things. They're both abused each other. It's just bad. Please never be in the same room with each other again.
Never get. But that dynamic, you don't get to write an op-ed and say I'm the victim of domestic and I'm a survivor of domestic violence, because when the stuff sort of comes out, it actually looks like, you know, the aggressor. Who's the aggressor in this situation?
Well, I mean, she technically did survive the relationship. Depends what side you're on.
True.
It's technically true.
Right. You're like, we're getting into semantics over here, but she's
sorry, that's a whole other live show if we wanted to discuss that. But frankly, I feel like this whole trial is horrible. And we're seeing all of these very intimate things about these people that should not be televised. It's a whole media fucking circus that people are profiting off of. It is disgusting. And they're both terrible to each other. There you go. There's my hot take. They both abuse the shit out of each other.
You're like, that was that. We did say that we were going to go all over the place with this. So we did preface that in the beginning.
We did. I mean, there's no script here. But yeah, there you go. That's period. That's my hot take on it.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, we got details.
Okay.
So he had a vasectomy, and then you were told you couldn't carry anymore. But then you had vodka.
And poof.
Sorry.
I kind of love it, though. That'd be a great romance. Someone write it.
For sure. In that instance, I'm not going to be mad at the surprise baby. Then I'm going to be like, oh, well, there you go.
Like Jane Eyre, like we brought this up earlier, but like Jane Eyre is an age gap. That's also, I remember like he even said at one point, I'm old enough to be your dad. He even said that in Jane Eyre, and we're like, that's not a sexy thought to have. Like, don't say that. And it is weird that they're together. Again, I'm much more willing to accept it in a historical setting because that's kind of was the norm. Especially when women had no rights and men needed to provide financially. Mainly, they didn't have any money. Men in their 20s have got no money. They got to wait a while till they get money. And then they get married and they married a younger woman. That's kind of how it worked. You know?
They got to wait a while till they get some money.
Yeah, like, I don't got any money. I can't hold a family. Like, women weren't allowed to have careers. Like, you know, it's like a whole thing.
But I think that's why all the drama happened, because everybody's like, you want me to wait to have how long to have what? Sex? Like, are you serious? Like,
they banged the bejesus. They just went on a fuck wave across the country, the continent, so to speak.
So much drama and fuckery.
I mean, I am oversimplifying the socio-economic era, but like basics here.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, a spanking club.
Ooh.
Just for spankings. Oh, another recommendation, No Age Gap Mafia, JT Gessinger. You interviewed JT Gessinger.
Yes, absolutely. And it is fun. Amazing. She just put out the 5th and final book in the series. So that is good stuff. Irish Mafia.
Nice. Okay. Oh, could you drop them in the chat?
Yeah. These are non-age gap. Okay.
Maggie. Hi, darling. How are you? Another hi. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. I haven't seen that adaptation. Oh, no. I keep losing where I am in the comments. Okay. Found it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just performative. And I'm like, you don't mean it. You're just going to do it again. It's long, but a fast read for Priory.
Really? Okay.
Okay. I believe you, Beth. Like, you haven't steered me wrong. Hold on. I think you're putting that in the private chat.
Sorry, but you can copy. Can you copy it and put it in the other?
Yeah, hold on. We're
You're
doing
like
it.
in the wrong chat.
There's one. Too much copying. Hold on. And there's another one. Okay.
And then I'll put the last one because you had mentioned Presley Cole.
Oh yeah, the professionals. Mm-hmm. There's some that I'm like, divorce isn't really shameful. You could do it. Like, some of them, like, we don't really need to have them stay together for the sake of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so there's some in the comments now. There are some recommendations. Let's see. Yay! Recommendations.
Good.
No coffee or alcohol abuse.
Yeah, nice. What do you think about? This is another one that, and it's not necessarily a trope, but it's a subgenre. I think not everybody likes it. But do you like MC or do you tend to stay away from MC? Because MC brings in some dubious kind of
the motorcycle club. What's MC for you?
Yeah, motorcycle club. In terms of how they.
I haven't really read any to have an opinion on it, so I don't feel like I'm an expert opinion person for this one. But motorcycle gangs aren't historically known for being great guys. Sometimes they are, but like really no, they're not good. There's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of misogyny, there's a lot of racism.
Yeah. And I think it's a way like MC romances tend to, because obviously there's a following and people love it. And I feel like it kind of romanticizes like a bad group of people. Like just like mafia guys are not historic, they're not good guys. Like, you know what I mean? But we romanticize them for whatever, because it gives us a glimpse into a world that we would never have any insight or connection to in our day-to-day lives. And so it kind of gives you this little snippet, I think. But a good example of glamorizing bad guys and making them look amazing is Tilly Cole's It Ain't Me Babe series. And it's where you take MC guys that rescue these women from a cult. And it's really interesting. Tilly Cole did a really amazing job. She actually went into this organization that saves women from cults. And she interviewed a bunch of those people and really brought in their perspectives and tried to make it as realistic as possible in terms of those experiences. And so if that's your thing, or you're interested in that, it is an ongoing series that she's writing books out in the series, and it's fast-paced, fun, very, very fascinating and interesting and very fulfilling. So something to think about.
Very cool. Let's see. Last comment here for a little bit. So exactly the same. Taji. Needs to be equal.
Nice.
And yay!
Good.
I also apologize to your TBR list.
Growing.
It just never ends.
Yes, we did it, Amanda.
I know it's like an hour and a half. I usually I try for an hour, but it never happens. But I think we should start wrapping up maybe because it's been a while.
Did we cover all did we miss anything, like any glaring like stuff that you love or that we didn't talk about?
I don't know. I think we talked about a lot. I don't even know. I mean, we're never going to catch all of them probably. There's just too much going on. Oh, one more. There you go.
Yes.
I do kind of like sport romances. I don't know. Like, okay, here's the thing. Like, I am not going to go out of my way to watch sports, but my boyfriend watches sports, and when I watch them with him, I do enjoy the sports. So I do kind of like sport romances, because now, like, when I read them, I'm like, I know what those things are.
Totally.
Yeah. I kind of understand it.
I love hockey romances. I don't know. Again, hockey is not a thing in my real life. I don't watch hockey, but you bring me Helena Hunting Pucked series or any kind of hockey romance, and I'm just like, I just love it so much.
The hockey butt. Because they literally just use their ass muscles all day skating. They're just the hockey butt.
Nice little wrap. So definitely a glimpse into that I don't have any connection to whatsoever.
Yeah. On that note, hockey butt. And we started off with big dick energy, and we're ending with hockey butt.
We were all over the place, but entertaining, I hope, nonetheless.
Nice. All right, guys. Again, this is Taji. Please check out her channel. I put the link in the description down below. Check her out. She has a lot of great recommendations, especially if you're looking for something a little spicy, maybe something a little dark. She's your girl. Also, you know, all the normal things to say at the end of the videos. If you liked it, come hang out, come like and subscribe. I have a Patreon. If you want cool exclusive content, you can check that out. All of that stuff is in the description down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Wednesday with a video. Next Saturday, last announcement, the 28th, I believe. It's going to be the next episode of Drunk Classics, which I'm going to start reading right after this video. Right after this live show. That's why I wasn't drinking during the live show, because I need to pace myself. But I'm going to be doing the Odyssey.
Ooh,
the Drunk Classics. So I'm going to start reading that today. I know where the rest of my day is going. And that'll be out next Saturday, as well as the live show for my patron book club. Come hang out. It's going to be a good time. We read Book of Night by Holly Black. Fun times. And yeah. Okay, guys, I think that's it for today, and then I'll be back with you shortly. Oh, and Monday, I do reading sprints every Monday night at 5 o'clock Pacific time.
5 o'clock, very cool. Nice.
Okay, there you go, everybody. All right, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. It was really fun. Taji, thank you for being a lovely guest on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate it.
Yay. Okay, I'm going to hit the end button. It's happening. It's happening now.